and boom goes the dynamite.
Welcome back to the only Monday through Friday live lacrosse talk show. This is Daily Dive. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, saying good morning to all on the West Coast and on the East Coast. Good afternoon. It's time for lunch. Today, we've got another awesome show for you planned. As promised, if you haven't checked social media, you're missing out. Top story will be the Christian Bianco MVP theory, along with a top 5 MVP list for myself and a guy on there that you may not have considered. In fact, I haven't heard anybody consider this guy. Also, why is Halifax number 5 in the power rankings? I'm just wondering. Our big guest by Fanatics in our next segment will be Brett Dobson, the awesome rookie from the Georgia Swarm. We'll talk to him about the playoff push for the Swarm and about his awesome play this season. And our last brew, presented by B-Rose Coffee Company Code Daily Dive, will be John Ranagan's retirement and Lane Rushka, one Rookie of the Week. Alrighty, so let's get into our top story, presented by our store. In fact, Daily Dive store is the only place where you can get the merchandise with this logo on it. So you go to Daily Dive Lax on social media, that's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, even right here on YouTube. You can check that out. Check the Our Store tab on the link tree in the bio and get the only merchandise in the world with this logo on it. Daily Stinking Dive. Support us as we grow the game. All right, top story, the Christian Bianco MVP theory. And I'll tell you what, this thing has gotten so much steam. I want to give a shout out to Graham Perro, and I know how to say that now, just to let you know. Graham Perro, who was our guest yesterday once again, he said that he wanted to add Tom Schreiber and Connor Fields to his mix of MVPs. He did say Christian Bianco was his MVP, but he said that on Twitter. I retweeted it here on Daily Dive. Just want to let you guys know that. So, Christian Bianco has 1,080 minutes played this season, 9.20 goals against per game average, 81% save percentage, and the kicker here, 19 assists, okay? In fact, it led Graham Perro, I'm pretty sure this is why he put this here, on the NLStats.com website. You can click all goalies and see offense, which is pretty interesting right there. So, again, 9.28 is actually second to Nick Rose, and 81% does lead the league by 0.5% over one Nick Rose. But I wanted to get some pushback here. Once again, I know you guys have not liked this, starting with Ryan Ballantyne, who, of course, has to do that by agenda. I'm kidding. Everyone on Twitter, everyone on Instagram is saying, oh, it's Christian Bianco. I'm not so sure about that. How about Jesse King on his own team has 100 points? Not bad. Zach Currier, not just the point getter, but the two-way demon that he is. 228 loose balls, 33 calls turnovers, 18 block. Wait. You mean to tell me Zach Currier has 33 has allowed 51 shots or 51 possessions to not get to Bianco? I say that's pretty dang good. And also 33 points of his own. The Roughnecks this season have lost to the Seals, the Mammoth, the Rock, and the Seals again. And they've beaten the Vancouver Warriors 3 times. They're 1-1 against the Desert Dogs. You don't think that 9.28 goals against average is a little bit skewed? He's not playing in the East. He's playing in the West. There's some offensively challenged teams in the West, I'd say. And again, the kicker here is the 19 assists, okay? But let's get to those goalies with the offense, okay? Because I want to make this is interesting. Nick Damu to Panther City has 8. Warren Hill has 8. Nick Rose has 8 in terms of points. Dylan Ward has 6. Brett Dobson has 5. It's not like 18 or 19 assists is really good. But how about 17 turnovers for Del Bianco? In fact, that also leads the NLL. So I want to, again, he has been awesome this season. But if we're playing the game of most valuable player, and I've heard the arguments for this, you've got to learn how to nitpick these things, which is why I'm presenting my first MVP ladder of the season. Oh, wow. I know there's a lot of people that are going to cry about this, but hear me out. Why is Jeff Teat number 5? Because Jeff Teat has 91 turnovers, which is a lot. In fact, I believe that's the most in the NLL. I'll make sure if that's true or not. It is. Oh, I'm sorry. Mitch Jones has, Mitch Jones has 91 turnovers too. Okay. I didn't know that. But anyways, Jeff Teat has 91 turnovers, tied for the most in the NLL. That's why he's number 5. And his team is 4-13. If they lose to Vancouver, they're going to be 10 games under 500. Like that's horrible. That cannot happen for any MVP. He's lucky he made my list. Okay, we're nitpicking great players here. Number 4, Connor Fields. Connor Fields gets to play with Holden Cattoni, and to be fair, Connor Fields, while he does have the 50 goals and 58 assists, it's only 108 points. Not good enough. Number 3, this guy is the one you may want to pay attention to. How about Dylan Ward this season? People talk about, well, if Christian Del Bianco was not on the Roughnecks. Let's see here. Oh, they still have Jesse King and Zach Currier. How many guys have been injured for the Mammoth this season? I'm wondering if we're using the same argument here, and Del Bianco, not only does he have 19 assists, but he has 17 turnovers, so it's not like he's just throwing the ball down the field and it's just hitting every single time. No. 17 of those puppies got picked up with the other team. That's not good. That's a horrible ratio on that. So, Eli McLaughlin, 16 games. Zed Williams, 16 games. Connor Robinson, 16 games. Reese Dutch played in 8 games. Ryan Lee played in 6 games. Dylan Ward has played in 16 games. 78.3 save percentage. 11.28 goals against average. I could argue that Dylan Ward has been goalie of the year as well. Now, I know they're going to hear the thing from Nick Rose. I know it could be Del Bianco. I know it could also be our guy, Brett Dobson here. But it, to me, is not... I'm not a fan of this. We're playing this trick because I know that Calgary is, of course, the number 2 seed. Colorado could literally be the number 3 seed, and Dylan Ward has literally held it down for Colorado this season. Like, Calgary's got a way better team right now than Colorado. Colorado's been horrible this season. They still could be the 3 seed. It's really impressive. And, of course, number 2 is Christian Del Bianco. So it's not like I hate the guy for crying out loud. And number 1 is Dane Smith. Dane Smith led the Bandits to the number 1 seed with a week left in the season. And Dane Smith, to me, played those 3 games without Josh Byrne. Dehogan Nanakog has been injured. That's why I got to do this, okay? I think Dylan Ward, you could argue the same thing for him with Christian Del Bianco. I'm sorry. That's my thing. And again, Jeff Teat, he's on my list because I'll be literally, there might be a sniper outside my window if he's not on the list. How about that? So there you go. Also, Halifax at number 5 in the Rays power rankings by Adam Levy, who has joined the show before. So I don't want to go crazy on this. But Halifax at number 5 is a little bit interesting in my opinion. Just saying. On his power rankings. Hey, we'll have my power rankings tomorrow, but coming up next is a guy who knows a thing or two about winning, and has a very important game this weekend, and also could be Rookie of the Year in my estimation. Coming up is Brett Dobson of the Georgia Swarm. Don't go anywhere. Big guest by Fanatics is coming up next. the Georgia Swarm, who has been, in my opinion, one of the biggest parts of the turnaround of this team. Brett Dobson, welcome to Daily Dive.
How's it going? Appreciate you having me on. Excited to be here.
Hey, I'm excited to have you here. And since we were talking about Christian Bianco stats, I'd say 79 save percentage for you. Also not bad either for a first-year kid. And so I wanted to ask you, let's get to that first. You played with the Whitby Warriors, who are known for developing great players. And I wanted to ask you how Whitby helped your development as a goalie.
Yeah, I think for myself, being able to have the opportunity to obviously play in the minor system, all the way up to junior in Whitby allowed me to learn a lot. I had a lot of great coaches. My coach from when I was 4 years old to when I graduated junior was Sean Williams. So having a guy like him, coach you for that long, your career in box is gonna, carry you a long way as well. And you start to learn a lot of nuances and, kind of getting the opportunity to be around the rink and seeing them play either senior A back home or be around kind of when he played for the Nighthawks and see guys like Pat O'Toole play, you start to pick up on things as well. So, having Willie as my coach all the way up definitely helped me a lot. I think, being in Whitby, there's a lot of great players that kind of came through the program. You get to learn. I remember one time, I was in junior my first year. I got called up to play a senior A game for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, and Mike Poulin was the goalie there. So I learned a lot just from one game with him. So little things like that helped me out along the way and allowed me to get kind of where I am right now.
That's awesome. You say the same coach from when you were 4 years old all the way up?
Yep. Yeah. So Dyson Williams and myself are both the same age. So we've played together for a long, long time.
That's awesome, dude. That is really cool. I did get to see you play. I went to a Georgia Swarm game a couple weeks ago against Saskatchewan. You were pretty awesome, so I want to get that out of the way as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And really, this past week, though, against Rochester, I think the winning streak had to come to an end eventually. And in Rochester against the Nighthawks, a very good team that also needed a win. Tell me about how Rochester was able to pull that out. What did you guys learn from that game looking back?
Ultimately, right, Rochester's a great team, right? They're in the playoffs for a reason. They need that game to clinch. They're at home in front of their fans. They got a lot of great players. Connor Fields is a terrific player, right? He's an MVP, candidate. Their whole offense played really, really well. I thought, Hartley did a great job in net. I think he had 46 saves or something like that, right? So he did a good job keeping our offense off the board. And I think that for us, at the end of the day, right, we're in round 0 of the playoffs. We still are in round 0 of the playoffs to try and get into the playoffs. So for us, focusing on ourselves and taking care of business. Again, we had a couple guys that are banged up. But at the end of the day, and there's no bickering, there's no kind of going back and forth with each other. It's just the next man up in this locker room, and kind of going through there was a learning experience. I think for us, ultimately, you kind of lose a game like that, it's a little bit of a reset button. So for us to reset and get ready to go, ultimately comes down to just this game, anyways, right? So winning, you're in. That's all that matters right now.
I'm glad you mentioned that because you said winning, you're in, and that's what the league is viewing this game as, the Halifax and Georgia game. You guys are back playing at home, and tell me what do you and your team think has to go right without giving too much away? What do you think has to go right this weekend against Halifax in order to get into the playoffs and take the next step?
Ultimately, I think that, we got to put a lot of balls past Warren Hill, and I think I got to do a good job of making sure that, Randy Stats, Clark Peterson, Cody Jamieson, Dawson Theed, Ryan Benesh, all those guys, Chris Bushi, don't score for now, right? So making sure I do my job and making sure that, I hold them to less goals than we could score.
I like the self-accountability there. So how about this, though? I'll ask you the same question I asked Jonathan Donville, who you guys are neck and neck to me for Rookie of the Year. You guys are both great. And how would you feel if you won Rookie of the Year, and is that important to you?
Personally for myself, it'd be a tremendous honor. Ultimately, looking back at the past winners, there's never been a goalie that's won it before. But at the end of the day, right, we don't measure individual success here. We measure team success. So for us, we're focused on, trying to win a championship and trying to get in the playoffs. Again, there's an old saying that I kind of learned at a young age that individual success comes with team success. So I think if our team's able to be successful, then, there'll be individual accolades that come along with it. But at the end of the day, it's just something that, that you can be proud of, but the work's not done yet. And I think that for us as a team, we're more focused on a championship than individual accolades in this locker room.
Yeah, I say play with Lyle Thompson probably helps that out a little bit. How much have you learned from Lyle Thompson or other guys like that on the team who have just helped you keep a championship mindset instead of just the I'm a new guy here mindset?
I know Lyle himself. I've learned a lot from him. Just how you kind of portray yourself on and off the floor, how you take care of your body, what you got to do to put yourself, be ready to play on the weekends. I think you learn a lot about the creators game as well through Lyle, and you kind of understand the grassroots where the sport comes from. I think Lyle does a terrific job at everyone in our locker room learning that through him and a lot of another Native Americans. I know this weekend's Native American Appreciation Night at the Swarm game, so for us to kind of go back and learn about the culture of the sport and where it kind of came from, and Lyle being the leader of the charge with that. I think you learn a lot from him, and I think as well as guys like Jordan McIntosh, Shane Jackson, Brian Cole, and others to be in the room as well. Like those are our leadership. Eddie Como kind of does a great job making sure that we're all locked in as well. And I think that we're week 22 or 23 now in the NLL season. Like you're not a rookie anymore at this point, right? You've been around the block a bit, right? So you've kind of gone through it. So understanding how the game kind of works and how this league kind of operates is something that you need to make sure you kind of catch on to early on. I think that the leadership in our locker room allowed me to kind of do that early on.
Wow. Hey, I'm excited for this weekend. I know you guys probably are too. Brett Dobson, I really do appreciate you coming on the show, being in this important part of the season. Best of luck to you this weekend and beyond, and also with the Rookie of the Year awards, no matter how that goes. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
No problem. Anytime. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Brett Dobson, everybody. I'm telling you, I said like I said about Jonathan Donville. I am 26 years old, and seeing these guys be so good at what they do, and here I am just hosting the show talking about them. It really just puts in perspective how much I failed. I'm kidding. No, great job for Brett Dobson and all their awesome guests. Go to our Daily Dive social media pages, click the Fanatics link, and shop the awesome merchandise like Georgia Swarm gear. And if you're at the Georgia Swarm game, get your Brett Dobson jersey. They should have those. I don't know why I didn't check that when I was there. Boy, I'm dumb. I know they have Lyle Thompson jerseys, but hey, we're not done yet. Coming up next, we're talking a Georgia Swarm player actually did retire from the 2017 championship team. And we'll also talk about how Lane Rushka, in his first start, how good was he? We're right back. Daily Dive will wrap it up next. Oh, welcome back. That's a quick break. That's the wrong break. Oh, see, we already got the extra. There you go. So, so bad. I was so excited to talk to Brett Dobson there. Okay, our last brew presented by Beer. I screwed this up. Our last brew presented by B-Rez Coffee Company, code BREZ Coffee Company, code Daily Dive at checkout. Check out the awesome people. And boy, I have just ruined that entire promotion there. But hey, let's get to this. John Ranagan retired. He's a 2017 champion in the NLL with the Georgia Swarm. In fact, his stats in his career, 51 points, 416 loose balls, and 73 caused turnovers. Now, I'm not sure, because again, I'm newer to this thing, if he's already retired from the NLL. But he announced he's retiring from the PLL from the Chrome. There's a statement on his Twitter page and, of course, his Instagram. You can check that out. He thanked his teammates and, of course, the relationships he's built over the past 10 years. But shout out to John Ranagan retiring. And remember, 2017 champion with the Georgia Swarm. Not a bad career for that guy. Also, Lane Rushka. This is an incredible story. Won Rookie of the Week in his first career start. Now, we just talked to Brett Dobson, who, to be fair, has done a really good job. I think he's won a couple of Rookie of the Weeks, Brett Dobson has. But Lane Rushka, boy, if he was there at the start of the season, you wonder where the rush would be. Shout out to him. There's the iconic, him getting the water bottles tossed on him by the veterans. That was amazing. And this weekend, I believe he's going to start again. They have one more game against, I want to say the Desert Dogs. That should be fun. And I want to get to the Las Vegas Desert Dogs because this is interesting. Las Vegas is now, well, the Rush are minus 208 in this game coming up. And Las Vegas, to me, has really tailed off at the end of the season. Like, remember when Panther City in their first year last year, they got stronger and now they're a playoff team? Well, this season the Desert Dogs have done the opposite. They've tailed off, and you wonder what the future holds. Rob Hellier has been awesome this year. Landon Kells in net for that team. They also have the awesome rookie in Jack Hanna, and of course, John Phillips ain't bad himself. Vegas, I believe, has lost 7 of 8, and now they're 5-12. Oh, that just rubs me the wrong way because I was so happy. And in fact, they had a period of time when they won 4 out of 5 from January 20th against the Warriors, and they lost the Rush. They beat Colorado, won at Albany, beat Calgary, which is insane. And I believe, they beat Calgary. So that's one of my talking points about Christian Del Bianco was that they beat this guy. The score in that game on February 24th was 11-9. Hey, 11 goals on the MVP. Don't mind if I do. But shout out to Lane Rushka. He will have to face those Desert Dogs this weekend. Should be an interesting matchup. And if you haven't checked it out, on our social media pages, I have a video circling the webs right now of me counting the Albany Firewolves fans yesterday. I did not mean for that to be funny, but I'm glad it was. Because 3,107, it might have been 107 when you look back at that photo. Oh, I'm so dumb. Shout out to Jim Keller on that photo, by the way. So you're going to see the same video you just saw. I apologize for that weird break on the last segment. If you're used to the show, you know that was not our commercial break. But I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we got Brendan Glasheen on the show, the man who was the voice of the Bandits in the Rock game, and what an amazing game that was. Daily Dive's got 2 more days in week 21-22, and then we got a big next week coming up. Playoffs are so close, yet so far away. Shout out to Brett Dobson for joining the show today, taking time out of his busy day, and also all the guests that we've had this week and previous weeks. Check out the playlist called The Biggest Guests Ever on our YouTube page. Again, for everyone that comes on the show and for everyone behind the scenes, I am Michael Karvelis saying have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.